Hey, it's Brook from Iowa. Stephen from Australia said he got up to page 13 in my chord book. Page 13 is the E chords. And I just drew a few out, but it looks like a lot. If you're kind of a beginner, that might be shocking that there's that many E chords. But these are just a few, actually. To be honest, I didn't even try that hard to think of all the E's because I knew it would kind of be overwhelming for a few people. But I was inspired by Ted Green's chord chemistry, which has an absurd amount of crazy chords on every page, just about. So I got this very book when I was 19. I realized I was ignorant. I needed to learn some stuff. Well, thanks, Stephen, for keeping in touch. It's really exciting to hear from you every time. Well, let's just run through some of these. I might have covered this once before, but I'm playing my 1970 Les Paul Custom through the 74 Marshall. It's set for very clean, glorious, clean tone Marshall. Usually think of Marshalls as a filthy, dirty, grinding monstrosity, but let's just play it clean. So the first E is your classic 6-string. You probably know that. Middle ring index. The next one, I wrote E over B. That means we're just going to take out the 6th string, hit 5 strings. That means B is the bass note. The next one, I just took out the 5th string, and it's just 4 strings now. That's an E major, which is E, G sharp, B, and E. You could finger it any way you want. You might just want to use index and middle. Very light and pleasant. Maybe I'll tip the camera down a tiny bit. So you might use that if you don't need the thunderous, which has, 2 B's, 3 E's. So the next one is even lighter. It's an E with a G sharp, E over G sharp, so that would be G sharp, B, and E. Pretty simple, but sometimes that's the perfect chord. Then I got into some power chords, E5, 0 and 2, E and B. That's kind of your basic beginning power chord, which I play at every gig. The next one is another E5, which is 0, 2, 2, or E, B, E. Even though it's simple, you should master it and recognize the sound. After that, I did a E5. This has a little trick in it. I'm going to hit all 6 strings, but I'm going to mute the 3rd string, which is the 3rd interval G sharp. So I'm going to use my pointer finger to touch it and not press on it. So if you need muting the 3rd string if you can. All right. Kind of mind-numbingly boring stuff, but if you can master these, you're going to really know the neck pretty well. So if you can bear with me. You might learn something, but I can understand if it's kind of boring. And if it is, maybe just buy your own copy of the book if you want one. I sell maybe 3 a month, which goes right into my house payment. It's great for me and hopefully for you. I don't sell that many, but that's good. I don't need to overdo it here. So the next one's another E5. This one's pretty cool. I think we got some temperature problems in here, so let's just... Yeah, we're going sharp. Pretty cold in this room. Everything's going sharp. So that's E, B, E, B, B, E. That's an E5. There's no third. Third is G sharp. So that's kind of like a drone, kind of a monotonous chord. But sometimes you need that. Kind of a transparent chord. It's just so repetitive with the E's and B's. You even have 2 B's right in a row. So that one does need to be in tune. Might be a good chord to use if you're checking your guitar for tuning. All right, if you can, but that's a good position because it gets you to the next chord, which is another E with a G sharp bass note, or E over G sharp. That's the third in the bass. That chord can be like directional, like maybe it's climbing. I remember one of my mentors taught me that chord when I was playing in a band with some guys that just had a big record deal, and it kind of fell apart, so they reformed. They were on Columbia for 2 albums, and I got to join their new band. I was pretty sure I was going to the big time. They just kind of quit, man. But he showed me that chord. And I was like, whoa, man, this is getting serious. So this is kind of a weird arm twist. All right, now here's another weird arm twist. I'm going to do a D-shaped E, which you could just do this, which is on the next row. Only I'm going to keep the bass in there like this. I guess I'll keep the, well, check it out. If we go from here to here to here to here, and maybe just for the next one, so it's the index, the 4-4-5 or 4-5-4. Sorry. It's almost like using a capo. You get a D sound up here. And the next one, I just leave off the third interval, so it'd be an E5 with a B bass note. Oops. And here's another E like this. So I'm just leaving out the 2 thick strings. I got 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd and 1st. E, B, E, G sharp. And finally, just that little triad, which are always useful to me in my world. Now I've got another power chord. Those are pretty cool. That's like a B, E, E. just kind of a little filler chord if you don't need so much heavy stuff. If you're kind of just filling in, somebody's singing and they're playing an E chord, you don't need to, you know, make all that bassy rumble. You just need a little light sprinkling of magical dust there. My next one's another E with a G sharp bass note. Here's the G sharp, 6th fret, 4th string. And we're gonna develop that a little bit. Oops, I forgot. So that's a 6, 4, 5, 4. G sharp, B, E, G sharp. If you add your pinky out here, you got a bass note. E major. E, G sharp, B, E, G sharp. It's got a lot of G sharps. Very major. So now if you want to reduce that a little bit, sometimes these sound really good. You just really got to know this stuff. I realize this is probably pretty dull. So congratulations to Stephen. You found the buried treasure that nobody's even found yet in the book, as far as I know. I haven't heard about it. Okay, so there's that. Add your middle finger. Pretty similar to the others. So, yeah, you could make it harder. You know, you could go G sharp, E, B. You could make a chord like that. I didn't get that far, actually, in the book. So, this is how far we got. This, and again, just like this, was only a beginning, even though there's thousands of bizarre chords in here. It's just a beginning. It doesn't really finish. It never ends. So this is a cool one. That's a chonk. You could make it minor. All of these you could make minor by taking that G sharp down to a G, flatting the third. So here we got, that's a 5th root third, which looks exactly like an E, only it's here on different strings. Amazing. So I'm trying to keep it simple here, man. So it does have a thick, chonky sound. If you're looking for some chonk, that's a good one. B, E, G sharp, 7, 7, 6. Then we get back into some power chords. The classic 7 and 9. I think everybody needs to play that. Of course, you can move it around. E and B. That makes it E5, 7 and 9. If you want to add your pinky on the next string, that's another E on the 9th fret of the 3rd string. You can hit 3 strings, or you can push your pick through. Because it's an E chord, you've got the open B and E strings. That's a good way to test to see if you're in tune. Or if you're pressing too hard, let's see what it sounds like if I squash it. Ugh. So don't squeeze too hard. Light. You could just make it all 6. That's all E's and B's. E, E, B, E, B, E. While you're up there noticing those 9s, you could get those. I can't believe I didn't even put this one in there. But that's covered back on page, oh, I don't know. It's implied on page 10. The A-shaped bar chord, like A, B, C, D, E. So maybe you already knew that. But here I just got 999, which is... All right. That's a good shape. If you're still with me, I got 2 more chords. This is a, if you keep that 999 at a major 3rd, that's a G sharp. Super good shape. 11 is your major 3rd. 999, so that's your G sharp, B, E, G sharp. You got 2 3rds in there. That's why it's so happy. All right, if you want to do one more, it'd be pinky out here on the 6th string, 12th fret. I can see I'm fogging up my guitar. It's really cold in here. Man, I'm glad I took the time to practice those today for my own selfish reasons, because that was a good practice, man. So if you have the book, that's what page 13 sounds like. And yeah, man, I didn't stress out about it. I just drew some in there. If you ever see the Ted Green chord chemistry book, just take a look at it. Ted himself kind of said it was a little bit absurd. I've got so many books I need to work on, but as far as practice, but that would be nice to spend a little bit of time on a page or 2 in there. Hey, it was $9.95. My book is $20. Wow. I wonder what it costs now. Well, Ted Green, what a guy. That's too bad he is not with us anymore. But we're still talking about him, so he was immortalized with his teaching and performances. Look up Ted Green, Tedgreen. Well, I'm wearing my dad's sweatshirt because he had a bunch of them, and I don't really have that many long sleeve things, so I inherited. He told me it would all be mine someday. So I shall remember my father when I wear his Iowa Hawkeye shirt. All right, man. Black and gold right there. Okay. Thanks a lot. And keep in touch. Let me know. Congratulations to Stephen from Australia. Cheers, mate.